gorgeous souls, and welcome to another one of my Spiritual Queens Badass podcasts. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have the wonderful Summer McStravick with us. So, Summer, if you don't know, is a personal growth coach, author, podcaster, and creator of Flow Dreaming, an energy technique for manifesting, healing, and growing inner emotional strength. Welcome to the show, Summer. How are you doing?
I'm so fabulous this morning. It's a lovely day here in California.
I'm loving it. Well, when you obviously emailed and introduced me to the concept of flow dreaming, I was so excited because I'd never heard of it before. And obviously here on this podcast, we talk about all things manifestation. We're manifestation mad. So it was a perfect fit. So I'm very, very excited to learn about what flow dreaming is, learn about all your incredible work that you have to share with us today. But one question I always love to ask every guest when they come on the podcast is, when did you spiritually awaken? What is your story?
When I was born into this, to be honest. My mother is a practicing medium, intuitive, master herbalist. My grandmother was also uh, very much into going back, right? Automatic writing, acupuncture, acupressure, lots of healing modalities. My great grandmother, going way back, astrology, in the middle plains of America back in the late 1890s. So day one, day one, I was born and bred here. Back at least 7 generations that we're aware of.
That's incredible though, because as you can imagine here on this podcast, I hear so many different stories of people, like you say, whose parents and family members are spiritual. So it's always just been there. It's like they don't know anything
Mhm.
different. Whereas, some
Yeah.
people can have these, big awakenings and big epiphanies at any age of their
Yeah.
life. But I always find it really fascinating for those who have kind of grown up in those environments and have had really supportive parents in the spiritual kind of environment. So
Mhm.
what was it like growing up, having all these really powerful, amazing powerhouses in your lineage? Did it
Yeah.
feel, did you shut it out at all, or did you just kind of like welcome it in?
One other little fun fact. I am the first daughter of the first daughter of the first daughter of the first daughter. So we seem to, in particular, carry I don't know, an abundance of sight. I don't know how else you could describe it. And you're right. As I was growing up, my mom would pull me into the wildest and wackiest experiences ever. She pretty much by the time I was 17, 18, I said, you know what? I am never going to be like you guys. You guys are crazy. You know how teenagers are, right? I'm going to do anything in life, but do the kind of work you do and do all that stuff. So I did the rebellious thing. I went to college. I decided I'd get myself in publishing. I was going to have a legit career, a normal job. That didn't work out because, of course, I ended up right back in the world's biggest publishing house of mind, body, spirit titles. And then life eventually brought me back here. And there was a moment I remember years ago where I was standing in my bathroom. God, what year was that? Like 2008 or something, 9 maybe, and having a moment of real deep communication where I heard very profoundly, look, if you don't do the work you're supposed to do, then we have wasted so much talent and time on you. And it was almost like my guides were just shaming me into saying, well, oh gosh, okay. And that was the moment I said, you know what? You're right. I could do something that is rare and extraordinary, or I could do something that is common and safe. And why are you so afraid of the rare and extraordinary? And that was the moment I really said, okay, I'm going to do this work and I'm going to do it full time and I'm going to fully own myself in it and join the family business, I guess you could say.
I love that. So you mentioned that you were working for Hay House and obviously ended up in a huge, wellness publisher, which we all know of, Hay House. So how
Yeah.
did we go from kind of spirit forcing you into working in Hay House to obviously being the author and coach you are today?
Oh, it's a fascinating journey. I guess I began obviously working there in graphic design and laying out books and so forth. It began just still not really owning it, right? As time went by, I ended up moving positions, becoming their director of new media. So I ended up spending about a decade there, and kind of right at the beginning of the quote internet revolution, meaning being able to work with Louise and Dr. Wayne Dyer and Marianne Williamson and Greg Braden, and I mean, just like amazing people, taking their books, taking their workshops, getting them onto the internet, producing radio programs for them, anything audio that, and especially anything audio that was going to go on the internet. We had a whole huge department for. Um, After a while, it became known around the office that I had a particular practice that I would do. And it was obviously being successful because my life was really pretty successful by that point. And so I began doing it with my coworkers, and I called it Flow Dreaming. And it was a practice that came to me because, frankly, I was just frustrated with all the other, manifesting practices. So you have to like scroll back in your head with me like 20 years, right? We had creative visualization. We had, of course, affirmations and mirror work and things that Louise espoused. We had Jerry Nestor Hicks, Abraham Hicks, starting to come out. They were just back when I first saw them. I think it was like 89. Um, they were talking about being in the vortex and staying in your intention. And I was like, look, I have 12-hour workdays. I've got two little babies at home. The last thing I can do is keep my vibration in the right place all day long. And hell no, there's no time for me to meditate at all. I mean, every time I try to meditate, my shopping list is going off in my head, or oh, the laundry's not done, or oh my God, I've got a big meeting and a presentation. None of it was working for me. So what ended up working for me is I realized, there's a whole story about how flow dreaming came to be, but I discovered that for certain kinds of people, those of us who often have vivid imaginations, those of us who are able to really feel things deeply, those of us who have very yappy little brains. I call mine a yappy dog brain. I love my dogs, but you know how they can just go, 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 right? So if you're if you're like that in any way, you're probably gonna really be open to flow dreaming, because it takes three things. It takes a beautiful imagination, meaning you can daydream. So all of us who were ever like told, stop daydreaming, get your head out of the clouds, earth to summer, like I heard all that stuff. I always thought daydreaming was not a good thing until I realized that it was actually a really a spiritually connective process. Um, so I said, look, I find myself daydreaming a lot. What if I'm not losing myself in a daydream? What if I'm treating it like a dream at night, where you wake up and you lucid dream? Well, you can lucid daydream as well. So I found myself doing that. And then as that happened, the second part of flow dreaming emerged, which was, where am I? Because I just lost track of where I am. I lost track of the room around me. I lost track of time. I was someplace. And I did a lot of research and discovered that they call that flow or flow state, except that flow state in psychology is normally referred to for, being in a peak mindset, athletes go in flow and so on. And I realize I'm not using flow like to perform a skill. I'm using it to open and increase the skill of my connection, I guess you could say. So take it and apply it to spirituality, which at the time no one had really thought of or done. So great, I'm in this flow and flow state. I've been daydreaming, and I'm visualizing, and I'm seeing things. Pardon me if I close my eyes sometimes when I talk. I kind of go there naturally, and it helps. What am I supposed to do here, guys? Right? I am busy, and I can't keep my brain in alignment for anything. And that's where the third and magic part came for me, which was big, beautiful, and deep emotion. So when I am feeling deep emotion in this flow state, the emotion is the programming device, which has become almost a common teaching today, pretty much through all of manifesting. What you are is what you attract or align to. So I began researching emotion and realizing, gosh, they're like crayons in a box. There's so many colors and types and textures, and all the different emotions do all different things. So I began to see that emotion was far better than words or images for communicating. I always say, like, describe love in words. You could write a novel and still not get it all down. Feel that love? There you go. It's a universal language. Everybody in the world can look in each other's eyes and know how we're feeling, even if we don't speak any of the same words. So I brought these three things together, and it was just like a golden moment. Um, my life began to change, and I expanded on that. And today, flow dreaming is a technique like the one I just described to you. I do it every single day. It's something you can add on to meditation or add on to gratitude, whatever. But it's also a philosophy at this point. And I've been taught a lot about the nature of ease, the purpose of resistance, um, how you can struggle or you can fly, and lack thinking, all kinds of things that come in and sort of interrupt this natural flow of our lives, because it turned out flow applies to many other things as well. I'm going to be quiet now and let you talk, because I just went off for quite a bit. But that's it in a nutshell.
Don't apologize. Honestly, it's lovely to hear it. And again, learn about this incredible technique and the journey and how it's kind of played out for you. So you've piqued my interest, Summer. What is flow dreaming, and what does practicing do for your life?
Well, like I said, it's both a practice that I do. So I will close my eyes and I will go into flow for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I will do my manifesting practice within that, which is my emotional practice. So when I am communicating to life, the universe, my greater self, God, higher power, whatever you want to call it, when I am communicating about what I am and who I am and what I'm trying to create, I'm doing a couple different things at once. By feeling the emotions of what I'm wanting or what I'm making, I'm actually adding that to all of me. Right? Every time we feel something, it's added into us. It's information that we've just created that never ever goes away. So by going into flow every day and feeling certain emotions, let's say, okay, like a practical example, let's use money. Everybody loves to talk about money, right? I get it. We need it. We need security in our lives so that we are more able to do the things that we're really best at doing. Now, somebody would say, I just need more money. Like, I really need more money. Like, great. What does money feel like to you? What does it mean to you? What's the feeling behind money? Well, if I had money, I would have security and safety. I wouldn't worry. I'd feel peaceful. What else would you feel? Oh, I'd have a sense of freedom. I'd be able to finally exhale and relax. And so you've chosen money then as the thing that will get you to those feelings, correct?
Mm.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, let's feel those feelings. So the name I've given those is, let's feel our emotional endpoints. Endpoints because everything around us that we want to so-called create really is attached at the end to an emotion. A relationship, why do you want a partner? Because I want to feel complete, loved. I want to share. I want to experience a shared intimacy. What's that feeling called? It's love. I want to feel love. I want to feel it continuously all the time. Great. So you've picked a partner as your means or method to get to love. These are obvious, right? But sometimes we pick, like, I want to manifest, a better job. Like, well, why do you want a better job? Because I want to feel on point in my life and with where I'm going. I want to feel like I'm doing the thing that is in my highest good to do and just what I'm here for. So you want to actually feel purpose, right? Purpose, recognition, peace, on point, powerful in yourself. Why not start feeling those emotions? And if it's the perfect job that gets you there, awesome. Maybe it's not the perfect job. Maybe there's something else even better for you. Let's open up all the avenues. So the way I practice it with emotion is to not just ask for the narrow route that we kind of, I call it latching onto. Like, we look at all the possible options in our lives and we pick something that we think will get us there. That is only one out of thousands of potentials. But we have to pursue it because we have to take action in our lives. We have to pick things to work on and spend our physical lives doing. But ultimately, it's the emotional endpoint. So I'm in this flow space now and I'm starting to communicate. This is how I feel. This is who I am. So if I want to feel rich and wealthy for me means I feel free. I feel secure. I feel safe. I feel held. I feel guided. Now, every day, if I am making more of those feelings, again, it's working on two layers here. One, it's like going to the gym. If I work out my biceps every day, they will change. They can't help it. If I am pouring certain emotional states into myself every day, that is who I'm literally becoming now. I am becoming that. And as a practice, it means that you're not just wishing or hoping something will happen. There's no sense of if I ask, I just have to keep asking. You're not asking, you're being it. You're just literally being it every day. My medical friends, my psychology friends, they like to call it, they don't like the woo-woo so much, right? So with them, I talk about it in terms of emotional reconditioning. Like, look, when you meditate, you create new neurons in your brain. When you flow dream, you're doing the same thing. You are literally becoming more of this feeling. And it becomes easier and easier to get to. And what happens when you become more of these feelings is you tend to start interacting with life in a different way because you have changed. Your energy has changed. Your being, your soul, your personality is now starting to morph because you're effectively changing it. For my woo-woo friends, I say, not only are you doing that, but guess what else? Life now and all the potentials around you is this hall of mirrors around us, right? Everybody knows this is a standard teaching now too. But what is it reflecting from you? It's reflecting the feelings you're purposely creating in you. And it's not reflecting as much the feelings and the lack thinking or whatever it may be that you had in you last year or the year before. So the result is that your alignment, we all talk about alignment, right? It's just such an overused word, right? But literally, think of it, your reflection, the reflection of potentials and possibilities around you is now reflecting you directly. So that's kind of a nutshell of, how the practice works. And the philosophy behind it is, well, I kind of dipped into a little bit of it, but it's the idea that as we move through life, there's also a path for all of us where, call it flow, where everything is already naturally going, right? We were born and we'll grow older and then we'll pass on and we'll move into perhaps a different form, whatever your beliefs are. We don't fight it. I don't have to work to get older. The earth that flies around the sun, it's not, having to try for it. It's not going backwards. Time is going forward. The universe is expanding. Water flows down the mountain to the ocean. If we look at all of these scenarios and think, this is a path of least resistance. This is a path of zero resistance. This is a path that we all have. Yet most of us humans are not really on it. Well, we're on it, but we meander a lot. We go off a lot. And we hear things like, hard work pays off. Great. I believe that. So I'm going to work hard and it's going to pay off, which means that I have to keep working hard. Well, what if instead we get into that flow and we start to ask ourselves and our life every single day? So this is another part of my practice. I get into that purity of alignment. Put me in a resistance-free zone. Put me in a place where all the things just come in without any barrier. And it doesn't mean I'm lazy if I say I want it easy. What it's saying is I will still put 100% of myself in, but I will get a payoff for it. As opposed to, oh, I'm on a path of resistance. Put 100% of myself in that. Payoff is far lower, far lower. So there, I could go in so many different directions with this. It's a big, expansive world in flow dreaming.
I can imagine. And I mean, it's so great to even be introduced to it in this way because all of what you're saying, Summer, I'm just like, yes, yes, yes.
Of course.
I align with it so much because, I've had it along my own manifesting journey, especially in the beginning years where, again, like you say, I felt that hustle. I felt that work hard, energy of like, I must make it happen. And, obviously I witnessed now that came from a very controlling place and obviously past traumas and beliefs that made me think I had to provide this. I had to work hard. But it's really interesting when you get into that flow, like you say, and focus on the end result. And I think that's where a lot of people maybe go wrong with manifesting or find frustrations is that I don't know about you, Summer, but the number one question I get is process. I'm in this part of the process. I'm asking every single day. I'm asking. And I feel like we can almost like biohack that a little bit, like you say, and it's like, okay, but you're focusing on the process, which keeps you stuck in the process, when actually
Yeah.
when we can connect to those end result feelings, like you say, it is the
Hmm.
process of alignment, it's that embodiment, it's that frequency where you are coming up to match like the version of yourself that has
Yeah.
that desire. And I know that, there's many things that it's called in the industry of like acting as if and etc and things like that, but I
Hmm.
really love how you put it, because I found as well that over time and over that alignment process of learning, right, okay, it's that end emotion, that end feeling that I need to embody here and now. It's not about how many times I write my desire down. It's not about how many times I say the affirmation or anything like that. And I think as humans, we freaking love processes. It's almost like we just want someone to say, right, if you repeat this affirmation 55 times, it's yours,
Mm.
hun. And I wish it worked like that. But, I think when we can stop distracting ourselves with processes and the hard work, especially because we think if we have to work hard, we're worthy of it, or whatever the story is we're telling ourselves, it becomes that flow state. And 100% I can witness in the last few years, like I've really got into that flow state, whether I've been aware of flow dreaming or not. But it's
Yeah.
been really fascinating to see the quality of abundance improve as well with that, where it's no longer forcing, it's flowing, it's allowing. And actually, when we take that step back, and actually when I really stepped into my feminine energy and allowed this Virgo to receive, like how better it got, how much more powerful the manifesting was. So it's really, really interesting when we can make that shift. And I'm interested to know, Summer, what are some of the biggest blocks that you see within people with manifesting? Like, what is the biggest thing, do you think, stopping people from reaching that next level of success or manifesting their desires?
Yeah. Well, from one fellow prior controlling Virgo to another, uh-huh. I actually think a lot of us are attracted to manifesting because we think, oh, this will give us even more control over life. And then once we get knee deep in, we realize, oh no, this is not exactly about control whatsoever, because obviously we're being, balanced out by learning what this is. So one of the biggest things that I see that really gets in the way is when you mention that we're asking for something, asking and embodying are very different. And the word I use for that is creating an emotion on demand, right? Emotion on demand can be a very weird feeling. What do you mean? I can feel absolutely cared for, loved, and adored right now. I don't feel that from anyone in my life, but you're asking me to somehow make up that feeling? And my answer is yes, because if you don't make up that feeling and tell it to life, and the term I use for this is creating a kind of energetic emotional blueprint. You're building a house, right? You got all these people and they have no blueprint. And they're just throwing up 2x4s and, concrete. And I don't know what you're getting. It's half igloo, half palace. There's 29 bathrooms and one bedroom. Like, this is how many of us do our lives, just action. We forget what I call pre-action, right? And that is we're creating this energetic blueprint. We have to inform life first. This is what you're building. Now you've got something to start pulling together materials for. So that becomes confusing for many of us because it's nothing to do with fake it till you make it. It's I'm literally giving you a blueprint life. This is what we're doing. This is what we're going. And we're going to feel this emotion now, and I'm going to feel it on demand. Um, we've all been trained through our whole lives that you only feel emotion when it's appropriate, and you only feel it in response to what's already gone on. Right? Your brother calls, and it's an upsetting conversation, so you feel angry and upset. You don't get your paycheck, because something happens, and you feel frustrated and like inspired to go find the new job. Most of us are living 99% of the time in this reaction mode. Like, we are passively reacting over and over to the outside stuff. Manifesting in my world flips that. And it says, I'm not responding, I'm pre-sponding. I'm not reacting, I'm pre-acting. I'm not just giving my emotion to things that have already occurred, but I have to give my emotion to things that have yet to occur. That's how things start to actually shift. And you don't just get more of same, more of same, more of same. So I'm always thinking, what am I pre-acting? What are the feelings I'm creating right now about myself, my life this day? Now, what gets in the way of that for a lot of us is we have a lot of lack thoughts. Everybody has different words for this: limited thinking, ceilings. I look at it in terms of lack thinking. Lack thinking is, I won't get this. This is going to be hard to get. I've struggled for a long time to get this. Why would this be any different? And we come up with these really tight, strong, real feeling explanations for ourselves. And the stronger they are, the longer we've had them, the more real they are. And the thing is, they actually are real. They have been real. Like, they have explained something. You're a smart cookie, and you actually explained it. Good. How long do you want to keep believing that? And that's another point where people scratch their heads, but you're asking me to like go against my actual lived experience. And I'm like,
Mm.
no, you're not going against it. You're just changing it. You still have that lived experience. But let's say instead that you're totally wrong about something, right? You're completely wrong about that. You think that, the world will never give you your partner and maybe it's just not for this lifetime. What if you're totally wrong? What if you could say, my partner has been trying to reach me desperately for years now, and I am feeling very, very connected and aware of that. Let's be wrong about all the reasons why you had before. I'm too old. I'm too, this or that, whatever it may be. Can we get rid of all of that? Because you keep reacting to things that you've already experienced instead of pre-acting where you're actually going. So that for me is a big one. I spend a lot of my time looking for emotions of lack, of fear. Right? Fear is a real, real big one. Inadequacy, not being enough. And I like to help people really pull those apart and say, hey, these emotions keep interfering. Can we be wrong about these? Can we start plugging in a new set? Can we eventually plug in the new set so much that it begins to overwrite, like data, overwrite the old set? Let's do this practice and let's get that actually starting to happen for you. So that in a nutshell, I mean, there's more, but I would say those are the biggies. Is looking for that lack thinking, and also understanding that you don't have to wait for the world to let you feel an emotion. You must feel an emotion and let the world feel it from you.
Mm. The inner always reflects the outer. Amen. And it's like you say, it's like, I feel like asking sometimes, I don't know if you felt the same in the past, but I always feel like sometimes it's like asking for permission of like, please, universe, I'd really like this thing. And it's almost like the universe grants us that permission of like, yes, Emma, yes, you can have this. When actually, like you say, it's kind of skipping that permission asking and saying, no, I already have
Totally.
this. This is already mine. I'm worthy and deserving of that. It exists. It's here. And I love how you were saying about we're pre-feeling those emotions, we're pre-feeling everything, because when we feel those emotions here and now, as we know, gratitude, everything, it only builds more
Yeah.
reasons to be grateful, it only manifests more reasons to feel joy, abundance, happiness. And it's really interesting because it reminds me of something my friend told me at the weekend. He's currently in the process of adopting and manifesting the perfect little baby into his family. And he was saying to me, it's literally just manifested this week. So he'll probably kill me for saying this on the podcast, but he's probably listening. And he was saying that he was standing at the bottom of the stairs, calling up the child's name, saying, like, Johnny, dinner's ready. And he was, imagining it. And he said, Emma, I felt so stupid and everyone was laughing at me for doing that. But he said, I totally got into those, feelings and emotions there and then of what it was like to be a dad, of what it was like to cook dinner for my son and this child. And lo and behold, it manifested. So I think
Yeah.
it's really interesting how we can get into those frequencies and vibrations through, little things like that. But then also, like you say, feeling it and choosing that
Uh-huh.
instead of like asking for permission.
Yeah, we've all grown up in what I think of as a very contractual environment. If I do this, I'll get that. If I'm a good girl, I'll go to heaven. If I have more, if I have too many sins, I won't. So when you start walking down this personal growth path, for me, it's really shifted how I interact and think about the universe or God or life. Um, the universe for me, I call the universe is my suitor, is one of my phrases. This is a suitor who is wildly in love with me, who thinks that I am the best thing to ever walk into their life, who when I say, hey, I think I want to try this, do you think I'll succeed? They go, yes. And I say, will you support me? Of course I will, darling. I'll do anything for you. What do you need? Let me see how I can do it. Like that is how I feel that the universe speaks to me. So it's different than, did I deserve it? Did I earn it? That's a different kind of relationship. And
Mm.
it also means that, when your partner is with you like that, the partner of the universe, I think of it like a dance, right? I've got me, and then I've got my partner. If I am the one who is leading and pulling my partner all over the floor and not letting them do their part, they're going to stomp and walk off. And we're going to feel very disconnected and very negative about life. And I totally get it, because your partner has stomped and walked off. It's trying, but it just looks at you and keeps sadly shaking its head. And you mentioned control earlier, and that's what we do when we try to over control,
Yeah.
because we've lost faith in our partner. It's just like a real relationship. If you lose trust in your partner, they're on your own, right? You no longer trust them to give you what you need, to do what you need, to be the person that you need. Um, a big chasm, a big divide opens up. And now you're only functioning on half of what there is in life. So I again, to go back to the idea of action and pre-action, everybody does the physical things. We do our goal planning, etc. For me, flow dreaming and the work I do is the non-physical aspect. Everything there's a black and a white, and a yin and a yang, and a up and a down, right? We always have these complements. They seem like opposites, but they really always go together. So when I'm devoting myself to saying, look, I'm going to take care of my body, I'm going to work out and walk and all that, eat good food. I'm going to take care of my mind. I'm going to do my crosswords and Sudoku and whatever. The one thing that people often don't take care of, besides maybe passively listening at church, for instance, is their emotional, energetic self, their spiritual self. It needs to be exercised. It needs to be given time to, as much as all the rest of us. And when we start doing that, that's when we now start to be in alignment with our partner again. And then that partner can start giving to us the things that, we don't yet see, is how I like to say it. I'm going to give you this, where I'm going. You line all the stuff up. So I'm the ship and the captain, right? I'm saying this is where I want to go. Life, the universe, is my ocean. And the ocean's saying, look, if you turn this way and that way, I'll get you there. And here are all the things that I can bring in, because it's out of our personal power to make all the little things happen. Like I can't make something happen tomorrow that involves people I don't even know. That's not my job. But my job is to say, I want these feelings tomorrow, right? I want my life to start blooming in this area tomorrow. And now my partner can say, guess what? I have the perfect combination of things for you. Let's bring them in. So I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but I don't think I even answered your question.
Well, you actually did, Summer. You answered the next question as well. So you're doing my job for me, which is great. But I love how you talk about, the mind, body, spirit experience, because I 100% agree. And I think that was one
Yeah.
thing that massively lacked from my manifesting kind of practice in the early days, is it was all physical, it was all cognitive. And, like I've had friends who do too much spiritual things and they don't go into the action or, the cognitive side of things. So I think it's kind of like marrying the three together, isn't it? Of, knowing that we are an energetic body, we are energy as well. And actually, we do need to look after our energy. We do need to bring our manifestations into our aura, into our energy, and work on the energetic side of things as well. So definitely agree with that. But trust, I 100% agree, is such a hard relationship to, I guess, because we're not really taught it, are we? You kind of on paper, if you look at trust in a romantic relationship, just how you described it there, it makes total sense. But then when you think about trust with the universe, it can feel a little bit difficult for people to really give that unwavering trust to the universe if, maybe they've gone through really challenging times in life, or, the signs of synchronicities aren't there, or it feels helpless, or it feels like, oh, I've done everything and it's not manifesting. So you talk about the trifecta of trust, Summer. So what is this, and why does it require constant nurturing?
Yeah. Remember how I said flow dreaming is a practice and a philosophy? So this is the philosophy of it. Um, yeah. So let's talk about the trust that we have with the universe. Which you're right. I just kind of mentioned that. over life, our trust tends to get broken over and over in multiple different areas. Trust of the universe to do good things for you, trust of other people to treat you well and want you, and trust of self. So those are the three areas: trust of self, trust of others, and trust of the universe. When you lack trust in the universe, you tend to over control, and you try to, and frankly, a lot of us really successful people have lost trust in the universe because we've done so much controlling and gotten so much success that we start to believe there is no other way. So we are particularly stubborn, and that's something the universe is going to try and break us of at some point. It's a bad habit. Um, but trust of the universe can be, like I mentioned earlier, I've never met my partner. I guess it's just not for me. I guess that's karma, and I can't do anything about it. It's wherever I call these power leaks, wherever we say this is no longer something that I have any ability in, it's just going to happen to me. And trust of the universe is often that just sort of overall hopeless feeling. Like life doesn't support me. It's just not going to happen. It just won't happen for me. So that's something that needs to be healed and repaired. And again, I use flow dreaming for that process. Trust of others is sometimes pretty obvious. Like, do you trust your friends? Did you have your heart broken? Did somebody betray you? Did you always feel excluded? You were the weird one and the odd one out. You weren't invited. Do you feel that you have to be the lone wolf because everybody else is not going to be there for you? And we realize there may be areas in our life where our connectivity and our feelings of faith and belief that other people will like us, will love us, and do want us come into play. And I think trust of self is really one of maybe the biggest one. Trust of self, when you lack that, when that's gotten broken over time, it's because we made a dumb decision at some point. We lost money. We lost something we love. We tried something and it failed. And our responses to that aren't, oh, you know what? I still love you anyway. That's wonderful that you tried that. Our responses instead are, you better try again. You better second guess. You better not do that. So you can see in all of these areas, it causes a kind of retraction, like a pulling back from life. I think it's anybody listening, you could check in right now and know which of those areas that I said resonate with you the most. The minute you start saying, I'm going to rebuild the relationship with that trust, again, life starts to hear you perk up its little ears and say, oh, now we can start giving to you again. We can start connecting with you again. So this really, it may sound like it doesn't fold into manifesting, but it does. Because if you're trying to create something and it's not happening for you, instead of just going, this is a load of baloney and it doesn't work, and no, I knew it wasn't going to work. You have to step back and say, is there I call it a cross current, right? You're wanting something, but there's a lack of trust about it, trust of self, trust of others. It's like two waves coming together. They're not going to go, you're not getting foot on the pedal and the gas at the same time. So we have to work out those pieces. And I just want to reiterate that being, having your trust broken is very natural. It's very normal. And I give it an analogy. It's like, you ever go to a big theme park, like Disneyland or Disney World or something? Man, by the end of the day, that place is trashed. There's like sticky gum on the handrails and, bags and things flying across the grass. It was a day well lived. And whenever you do something that's well lived, there's debris. There's little tiny breaks, little cracks, little bits of trash. What comes in? The night crew. They clean it all up, get it ready for the next day. So if you don't have enough broken things in your life, the universe is trying to tell you you need to live a little more. If you live a little more, we can give you a little bit more. And oftentimes when we find ourselves in that stuck place, it's because we've pulled back so much from these lack of trust in these different areas that we're not breaking enough stuff. Which means that we're not creating enough stuff either. So.
Yeah. And I love that because I feel like over the years, I've really witnessed my trust build through lived experience, like you say, and obviously mindset shifts as well. But
Mhm.
really through that lived experience, isn't it, that we can really draw upon those experiences and be like, wow, okay, like the universe brought me to my knees in that moment. I really had to surrender like I'd never surrendered before. And from that, I learned the art of surrendering. I learned the art of releasing that control. I learned that actually,
Mhm.
even if I didn't see it right in that moment, I really did trust. And actually, even that seed of trust allowed, the miracles to come through, allowed those creative solutions to come through. And actually, looking back, hindsight, obviously a powerful thing, you can see, well, actually, wow, look at all these times that I did trust, or I did just know, or I had that intuition, or maybe I didn't trust, but I still just trusted in something. And that
Mhm.
creative solution came along and, it got better, or I did manifest that thing. So I think lived experience is important to draw upon because it's those evidence, isn't it? It's evidence of the universe at action, the universe at play. And it can remind us of, coming back to ourselves, and trusting ourselves is a big one. I agree with that because I feel like so often we put the trust in the universe as like an external thing, when actually, do you trust yourself? Do you trust your body? Do you trust,
Yeah.
yourself to hold those miracles, to hold that abundance, to hold that manifestation in your life? So I think it's like the three marrying together is really important because it creates this beautiful relationship of trust. But like you say, of course it needs nurturing because, there are going to be, times in our life where the night crew need to come in, of course. And yeah, that's what builds that trust. I love how you put that because I think it's important we look at all three instead of just looking at the external trust of the universe and just kind of expecting to have that unwavering trust from the get-go, because from
Yeah.
my experience anyway, it just doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, I always say you can't cherry pick with the universe, and cherry picking is, for some people don't know the term, but I always say it's when you go into the grocery store and there's all those baskets of strawberries, and you see that one person taking out the big strawberries and kind of, putting some extras in their basket, and you're like, that is not cool. You're not, you can't do that, and leave somebody else with a crummy basket. But with the universe, we often do that. We'll say the universe loves me and supports me here, but it hates me and doesn't support me there. I'm like, why would it do that? Is that the relationship you want? Like, is that your partner? Is that God? Really? No, if it loves you and supports you here, it's going to love you and support you there. Why would it not? Like, what does the universe have to gain from not supporting you?
Mm.
Whatever you're asking for, it's shoving life at you. It's shoving seconds and hours and days and air in your lungs and a million resources around you every single second saying, make whatever you want with this. Like, make something, be excited about it, do it, whatever it is. We don't really care. We just want to give you all the materials and see what you become. So this means that, even if you get something in your life, like, that you'd say, well, the universe doesn't like me here or doesn't want me here. An example, I got stage 2 cancer when I was 43. And I was like, hey, what the heck? Yeah, I've been a good girl. I've done all the right things. My brain's in the right place. I help people for a living. I've been vegetarian for 24 years. What's going on? Why would you punish me like this? And for me, that was like my clearest example of cherry picking. I had to realize, if I trust the universe with everything else, I've got to trust it through this too. And I
Mm.
may not know in the moment why I'm having this experience. And I don't even want to call it a lesson, right? Because lesson puts us right back into that. You got to get through all the hard stuff to get to the good stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm having an experience that was unplanned and unseen, but I trust my partner. I trust there's going to be something in here for me. I trust that something that I'm wanting, that I have been just feeling into my life so deeply, is going to be on the other side of this, or this will become part of it. I trust this fits into some place. So of course, I did all the regular things. I cried and screamed and got mad and did all that for a while too. But I gotta say, I'm cancer free. So been 8 years cancer free. But
Aw.
I learned at that point, it changed me to such a degree that now when I work with people and they're having these tragedies come in, I'm like, I hear you. I know. I've lost so many of my friends and family to cancer, as a matter of fact. And plus all the other things that have happened. Like we all have these big break points in our life. And we have to start looking at them as, who am I going to be in this? How do I want to experience this? Why did the universe gift me with this? And it's a weird thing, but I always strive now to look at the worst points in my life and say, why was I gifted that? What was the gold in there? Did I find it? Am I still finding it? And if I could actually get to the point where I just want to hug and kiss all the most evil people in my life, evil, you know what I'm saying? The people who've been mean to me, then I've actually found the gift. And
Mm.
I can genuinely have gratitude. And if that is what I'm saying to the universe every single day now, I have gratitude for the good stuff, I have gratitude for the bad stuff. What does the universe want to give me? It's just reflecting that gratitude. It's reflecting more and more love. And I always say manifesting is the long game. I was saying that
Mm.
to a client just this morning. She's been with me for 10 years. And her life is just like coming up roses right now. I'm just spectacular. And I say it's the long game. What you're feeling right now in this minute, the future you is thanking you for already. Right? So every single day you're doing this, you 2 years from now, 5 years from now is saying, I'm so glad you did that. I'm so glad you spent time on that. I'm so glad you went through that. Oh, I love, and I could just, oh, I love you to pieces. So that's manifesting for me isn't like a short-term thing, like you mentioned, writing it out all those times. If you want to use a good focusing tool like that, go for it. But the long game is the inner work that happens here over the
Mm.
years, and it stacks. It stacks exponentially.
It really does. And I think in the beginning, it can feel like, will it ever stack? And it feels maybe like quite a big hurdle. But, even I found in my own journey 100% that the more that the inner work it sticks, it stacks. And then I move through things quicker. It feels more
Yes.
flowing. And, ironically, my friend Hannah said to me this morning, she's like, Emma, I've always told you, you're in it for the long game. She's like, I've always held that vision for you. And, I've always been like, but I want it now and I want this. And she's like, no, Emma, you're in it for the long haul. And, it's so true because we do almost think of the instant gratification of I want it now, but I want to experience that relationship now. And, looking back over the years, especially as I was manifesting relationships, I would have wanted it in that moment. But actually now sat here, I'm like, God, if I'd manifested that at that point, I would not have been able to hold on to it. I would not have been in the right emotional state. I wouldn't have healed all this stuff. So I'd have been projecting all of that into that relationship too. And I'm like, thank God I didn't manifest that at that time. Thank God the universe knew better and knew the perfect timing and the perfect alignment for it. So I think that trust is so, so important of we can't see the bigger picture all the time. We don't have all the hows, whens, ifs, the journeys, how it happens. We just don't. And I think it's so important that it is for the long game. It is for the long haul, because otherwise it can become this kind of, I don't want to use the word egotistical, but you know what I mean? Like it becomes that kind of like instant gratification of we're just doing it for stuff. We're just doing it to get stuff here and now.
Yeah.
And actually, I think manifesting so much deeper. It's such a beautiful journey that can unlock so much for you. And I think, why wouldn't you want all of that goodness for life?
Yeah. Oh my God. 100%. It's like you and I was just thinking, we both do this kind of work, and you have your own techniques. I have my techniques. But the overall belief around all of this that I think most people hold is like just what we're talking about. We know that this gets us to a certain place. We know that we want to become more powerful inside of ourselves, right? And remove more power leaks from outside around us. So we have to get through our fear. We have to rebuild the trust. The more we do this stuff inside, the more the outer world reflects, right? That is like the core. It's really just about finding what is the particular method or way that works for you to get you there. And all of us will be different. Like some people will be like, I never want to do flow dreaming, but I want to do something else, And I'm like, cool, go for it. There's so many tools. Um, find the ones that work best for you, but don't give up on the journey. And don't give up on the journey. And like you said about being impatient, for your soulmate and so on, I never hesitate to say, look, this thing that I'm creating, I'm feeling in me, but I also want to feel a little bit of I'm ready for like a little acknowledgement. I'm ready for, something to just kind of give me a little spark, because that'll also like propel me to want to do this even more. So I ask
Mhm.
all the time, let me know this is the right road. Give me something. You call it a sign, a symbol, a synchronicity. Let me know, right? Because if sometimes I'll need help keeping the faith, so to speak. And so I ask for that. I say, you can always give me a little, a little wink and a nudge, like it's here, it's coming. And I'll go, oh, cool, I'm going to keep it up. So I'm never afraid to ask for that, you know?
I love that. I love that. So let's talk about your latest book then. Stuff Nobody Taught You, 40 Lessons from Emmy School to Help You Stop Being Miserable and Start Feeling Amazing. So what can we expect in the book, Summer?
Oh, okay. So I wrote my first book called Flow Dreaming back in 2005. Um, this was, I think, before The Secret, even, or 2004. And it basically lays out, how to do this. I call it a bubble bath for your mind. Come into the bubble bath, my friends, and learn this. Well, then I began teaching people, and I taught and I taught and I taught thousands of people, did thousands of sessions, spent thousands of hours in flow over the last, since 2004, 20 years, coming up on 20 years. And one of the things I did over that time was start something that I called Me School, ME. And for 10 years, I took waves of students through it. And I started it with the intention that I was teaching people how to manifest, but over and over, I was seeing them manifest just very short sighted things. Like they were not even asked. I would always say to people, do you realize how much you're undershooting what you could actually be receiving right now? And they'd be like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, you need to think bigger. You need to look beyond the current ceiling and see what's above. There's something else above that that you can access. We need to find that. We need to find what's getting in the way. So that's how Musical was born, helping people discover not just how to manifest, but what their actual potential is, who they are, what's gotten in the way. Sadly, well, not sadly, but it was intentional. After doing it for 10 years, I realized I'm done. I need to move on. So I did my last class of Me School last year. But I realized that all the teachings needed to go someplace. They needed to live and last. So that's why I wrote Stuff Nobody Taught You. It is a selection of the very best teachings of Me School. And there are 40 chapters, and each chapter has worksheets and techniques. So flow dreaming is just one of many, many, many that I work people through in the book. And it's very sassy. And if you don't like F bombs, you should not get the book, because I don't want any hate mail. I believe in the magic of all language and all words. So I use everything. Um, and it also comes with 200 worksheets that you can download that will actually kind of help you go through this process. So that's the book. And I mean, just if you want to go on a real personal growth journey, you could, I mean, of course I would say start there, go get the book. It's on audiobook too. And I narrate it, which is kind of fun.
I love that. And where can everybody find you, Summer, if they want to learn more about your work?
FlowDreaming.com. And it's F like Frank, not S. So it's FlowDreaming.com. The flow dreams that I've mentioned, it's sort of like meditation. You can flow dream on your own. And I teach the process 100% for free, kind of like I shared with you. I have a free tutorial that you can download. But like meditation, I also create guided flow dreams or guided meditations. So I've got about 300 of them on manifesting everything from luck to, and I've had $1 million lottery winner write to me and say, I flow dreamed right before I did this. To confidence, to an easy move to a new home, to safe travels. I have every subject under the sun that people have asked me for over the years I've recorded. Also, I have an app. So if you pull out your phone and you look up flow dreaming for meditation and manifesting, you'll find me there, and some free flow dreams that I have for you to start practicing with. And my podcast, Flow Dreaming. So those three things.
Amazing. And we will link those below for nice, easy access links. But Summer, my last question to you today then is, what is one piece of life advice that you'd like to leave my lovely listeners with?
Ooh, start now. Do it now. Don't wait till tomorrow. If I'm assuming if you're listening, your heart is open to this idea of manifesting and that you really do have more control. I use that word carefully over your life than you think. Life is not happening to you. You are happening to life. Always think about that. Always remember, you're the one happening to life. It is organizing around you. So the minute you say, hey, I've got some things I've been trying, not working, I'm frustrated about, embrace those things. Like choose this year to say, I am going to embrace those things. If I lean in, if I embrace them, everything I want's probably on the other side. That's why they keep hanging around. That stuckness or that frustration, it's not hanging around because the universe is punishing you. It's hanging around because it's saying, take me in, fix me, solve me, go through me, experience me, embrace me. So anything in my life right now that isn't working, I embrace it. And I don't mean accept it like, oh, I hate the suck. Not like that. I mean it like, what do you need from me? What do you need from me? What can I give to you? So I turn toward things all the time like that. And I want everyone to maybe try that, turn toward that thing, because there'll be gold, there'll be gems. There'll be gems on the other side. So that's what I'd leave you with.
And thank you for that, Jem. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Summer, for today. I've learned so much about flow dreaming and I'm really excited to give it a go. So thank you so much for sharing all your pearls of wisdoms with us. I'm sure everybody has absolutely loved it and is going to go try out flow dreaming for themselves. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Emma. It's been a wonderful conversation, and you just have such a light and bright energy to you. So
Oh.
joyful. I can just feel it kind of just emanating. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.